so the next thing that we need to do is actually place the spangles on the design. So I'm going to show you first where all those spangles go and what sizes go where. Okay, so we've got 3 big ones and they go here, and that's a size 6, here, and they're all in a nice little line. Okay, so that's all the size 6s. Okay, and then we've got size 4s that are going on. So the size 4s, this one is just slightly lower than that size 6 there, and you've got an equal one on this side that's also a size 4, but you've also got 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. So they're all size 4. Okay, just write that on for you. Then we've got size 3s. So we've got size 3 here and a size 3 here. Okay, and we've got a size 3 just here. And then we've got another one just here and another one just here. And then the same on the opposite side. We've got 2 just there. Now with the 3s, we use a lot more of those 3s. So we've also got 3s all the way along here. So I'm just going to draw those on. 3, okay. And you need to make sure that you space them out quite evenly. Now on our design, we've got about 11, but you might only want to put 10 in. It depends on, you know, whether you've done this exactly the same size or not. So you might want to just put 1 in the middle there, like that, 1 at the other end, like that, and then just infill. So obviously you'd put 4 in there. So you might want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you want to try and make sure that they're all evenly spaced. Okay, that's quite important. So you might want to draw that on with a ruler and put little dots in the center of where they need to go before you actually stitch them on. Okay, now the next ones we use are the size 2, and there's only a few of those. I'm not going to draw a circle around them because they are really small. So we've got 6s, 4s, we've got the 3s here, and then we've got 3 2s like that. Now you may then want to get your spangles out of the bag, and you may want to just then place them in the right place. So we'll just empty those all out of the bag like that. Got a few just staying in there, and you might then, because sometimes you find that some of them look a little bit like others. Okay, so you might get a little bit confused by the size 6s and size 4s, or the size 4s and size 3s. So it's a good idea to just put them all in place where you need them before you start doing the next bit of stitching. Okay, so I'm just going to place those on in the right area, and then we're good to go. Okay, now don't lose any of these because you do have enough for the design, but there aren't lots and lots extra. So if you did lose some, then you might not have enough for your design. Okay, so we're just going to come down here with our next ones, and these don't particularly matter, just as long as they're approximately in the right place. You do have quite a few of the 3s, and then we've got some tiny little 2s just like that. Okay, so the 3s you've got extra of because obviously there are a lot of those, but the other ones you haven't. Okay, and there you go. So these are all 3s now, so they go at the bottom, and these are all placed nicely at the top. So we can just then start applying them onto our design. Okay, so I'm just going to place on a few of the spangles. So I'm going to start on one side, I'm going to work my way across. So we've got the size 4 that just needs to be here, so we just need to pick those off the design, and I've put the design to the side so that it makes it much easier for me to lift the spangles off. I've put them on the edge of the paper, on the edge of the table. So we've got our 3 there, okay, and all we need to do is start to stitch those down. Okay, so I'm starting off central to this area here. Okay, so we're going to come up just here, and I'm just using a single strand of the translucent thread. You can see it's really fine. So I'm just going to come over that like that. Okay, so we're going to come over that like that with one, and then opposite we're going to come over with another stitch. Right, now what I tend to do is I tend to put one of the stitches in the little gap that's made in the spangle. Okay, so then we're going to put our next one down and our one after. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to put the next one down. Now they will, if you place them on, they will jump about, so just be aware of that. Okay, so I'm going to put one down just there, and then one down. So I'm coming right up in that little V. Now it could sometimes shuffle about, so it has moved to the side slightly, but when I've pulled that down, it's gone back in place. But don't worry, because you can always shuffle it about to make sure that it fits perfectly. So there we go, that's that one. So just to show you that again, we're coming up with our needle. Okay, we're catching in our spangle. You want to jump all about the place, so do be careful. Okay, catching that in like that, and this time the little nick in the spangle is at the top of the spangle, so it's now already caught in there, and we're going to come down just there like that. Okay, so that's attached those 3 on, and you'll carry that on along this edge here. Now what I'm going to show you next is just how to put them onto the leather. Now at this stage, when you're putting them on along the leather, you need to create a hole downwards first. So if you take a spare needle down, this is the leather one, so it's created a nice hole, but I'm still using the needle that I've been using for the spangles, so you can see where it's going to come up. You then come up, okay, and that's going to be the center of your spangle. So I'm going to let that drop down, and then I'm going to come over. Okay, I'm going to go quite close to that edge there. Okay, so it's not too far away. Come down there, pull my thread down, and then I'm going to come up in that same center hole, and that makes it much easier for laying that down. Okay, so then we're going to come over the other side like that. Okay, and again you might just want to twirl that around until it fits in that little gap just there. Okay, so then the next one needs to be about here, so I'm going to take that needle again, and I'm going to poke it down in the center, take it through the leather. Okay, so you've created that hole already, and then we're going to come up into that hole. It doesn't distress the leather anywhere near as much if you do that. If you try and come straight up into the leather without creating that hole first, then you will have to push either side of the leather to hold it in place, because it lifts the leather, which then can damage it or pull it away from your stitches. So it's much better if you actually create that hole first. Okay, we're going to turn that over that way. So we're going to come up again in that center hole. Just got to find it first so it comes up through that hole nice and easily. Okay, and then let's just move that around a little bit already, and we'll come up there with our stitch and go down, and hopefully it will fall in that nice little nick just there. Okay, so you don't want to pull them too tight because you still want it to have a nice little finish on it, and if you pull them too tight it will depress into that felt and the leather. Okay, so we're just going to make sure that we leave them not too tight on the surface, and it's good to have your needle at hand if you're using a needle keeper or something along those lines. It makes it much easier. So you'll just carry on now and you'll put all the rest of the spangles onto the fabric.